Welcome to another episode of Park Sharks. This time we are down in deep Southwest Florida. This is the Fort Myers DIY. So this is just like many other DIYs. It's just out on a flat, looks like an old foundation, and there's just random stuff built throughout. And it actually has pretty good flow. It's pretty hidden. It actually took me a while to find this place. Like, I had heard some people around the area talking about it, and I never could find it. And then a person that doesn't even skate that I know here said that they found a place where they saw some skaters, like they were driving by and they saw some people. And whenever I went to look for the place in the location that they told me, I drove by it without even seeing it. It's on this one road, and on one side of the road there's a little place you can park, and then on the other side of the road is where the DIY is, and it's hidden in some brush. So you have to kind of like go over the guardrail and then off into the woods, and it's sitting right here. I come out here every now and then. Ever since I found the place, I've been coming out on the weekends, or if I just have an hour or so just to stop by, get a little bit of skateboarding in. Well, like, there's usually people out here. Probably 80 to 90% of the time, there's at least 3 or 4 guys out here, and I've seen as much as probably 10 to 15 people out here at one time. So it's like a big rectangle, and everything kind of goes in one single motion down the length of the rectangle. It's mainly just a place to grind. There are several boxes, rails, stuff like that. So let me just run through all the different things that it has. There's a lot of height variation between all the different ledges, so that's really cool. It's there's the smaller one that's probably, I don't know, 10 to 12 inches off the ground. And then there's a ledge that's about maybe 14 to 16 inches. So you can skate one and work on a new trick and then kind of work your way up. What I'm sitting on right here, this is the big one. It's probably about 1.5 feet, maybe a little higher than that. This is probably my favorite thing to skate out here, for sure. And attached to it is a manual pad that's decently wide, probably about 3 feet wide, and a solid maybe 10 feet long. So that's a lot of fun. There are a couple of pole jams. There's a shorter one and then one that's a little bit taller. There is a parking block that's been elevated onto cinder blocks. That thing is a lot of fun. I love skating that. It's really sturdy, and you gotta wax it up a pretty good bit every now and then, but it does slide, and I mainly do slides on it. It's a little bit tougher to grind, but if you wax it up enough, you can definitely grind on it. And then there's the tall rail. It's pretty cool. I don't know where the rail came from. It looks like it was probably maybe a handrail at one point. That rail is probably the highest thing out here. So it can be a challenge, which is pretty fun. On the end where the entrance is, there is a quarter pipe. Right now, it's pretty damaged. The bottom of it is all chipped up. So some people have put just some metal pieces down there, but they don't always stay in place. There's nothing holding them in place. When I first started coming out here, the bottom of it was in pretty good condition, so you could skate it pretty easily. Now it's kind of messed up, so it can be a pain to skate. But that kind of brings me to my next point, which is this place is always evolving. There's always guys coming out here ready to build something new or fix something. So I'm sure it won't be long until that quarter pipe is fixed. The newest addition to the park is the hip. It's pretty small and it's a little bit janky on the edges. Like they've already started where the bank meets the flat on the concrete. It's already started chipping up. So the landing can be pretty bad, but thankfully the bank going up is not as bad, so you can hit tricks on it. For me personally, it's a little bit small, so it's very tight transition, so you gotta make sure that you go slower than you may be used to on other hips. So that makes me pretty confident that as long as the property owner doesn't completely shut the place down, it's gonna keep evolving, and there's always gonna be somebody willing to come out here, make changes or fixes, and maybe just keep building it up how they see fit. I know that the place has been shut down before. I don't know the property owner. I've never met the property owner, but it is private property, so you do have to be wary of coming out here. There's always a possibility of getting kicked out of somebody's property, but from what most of the locals I've talked to, it hasn't really been an issue as long as we keep the place clean. So there is a trash bin out here where you can throw away stuff. I know it did get shut down at one point years ago, and then nobody came out here for a long time, and then I think they just started building stuff again, and there hasn't really been any issues. So since it was initially shut down, I think it's only been around maybe a year or two since then, but thankfully people are still out here all the time and we don't have any issues. So I hope this place sticks around for a long time because it's a lot of fun. I always have a blast when I'm out here. So there is one other DIY in this town, and I actually found that DIY before this one. It's not amazing, so I haven't really shot a whole lot of footage out there. I went out there a couple times right when I discovered it. I did get a few clips by myself. I was so hyped just to find something in this town to skate that I noticed there were these cinder blocks that had been laid, but there was nothing on top of it, so there was no way to grind or anything like that. So I spent one evening building a wooden platform to go on the top and put some angle iron on it and everything. And it held up for a little bit. Obviously it wasn't made out of concrete, so I know it wasn't gonna last forever. It did last for a little bit, but then when I discovered this place, I stopped going out there, and I went back to check on it since then, and it's completely gone. Like the cinder blocks are there, but what I built on the top is just completely gone. I guess it's a good place just to go and hang out if you don't feel like coming to this place. It's just something a little bit different. There's a quarter pipe. It's a little bit bumpy and the coping's not great, but there is a quarter pipe out there. And on the other side, there's a bank, and it's all pretty rough, but it can be skated. It's not too bad, and the bank has a ledge on it, so you can do bank to ledge tricks, obviously. There was angle iron on it for a little while. I believe the angle iron's gone now, so you could at one point grind on the ledge on the bank, but you can't anymore. I think every time I've been there, I haven't seen anybody there. It's totally abandoned. But I figured I would mention it because, you know, trying to cover everything we possibly can. So there are 2 DIYs in Fort Myers. Thank you guys for sticking around for this episode of Fort Myers, Florida. Next week, we're gonna be still in Florida, but it's gonna be much, much nicer in Orlando.